Hello, everyone. I'm John Higgins, contributing writer to Film and TV Now, and I'm delighted to welcome one and all to this interview special with filmmaker Olia Oparina, the director of a new short film called I Am Normal, which plays as part of the online Paris International Film Festival 2022, running until the 20th of February. The film is based on a real-life 1973 experiment in which sane people are placed into mental hospitals for treatment and assessment. Now, we are going to focus on the production of this film, but this particular short has added poignancy and consideration in that it is the final work of the cinematographer Halyna Hutchins, who tragically lost her life on the set of the Alec Baldwin production Rust. And we will be paying tribute to her in this interview out of respect for the talent that she was. Olia, a warm welcome to you.
Thank you, John.
I think we must start off talking about Halyna Hutchins. So I saw the short the other day. I think her work is faultless and breathtaking, really captures the essence of a period drama and a very heartbreaking story. So would you share with us some of the memories and reflections of working with her and what made her so special as a cinematographer?
Well, I'm going to start that. I've known Halyna for 11 years. So we came here together to this country, both immigrants, and started at UCLA Extension. Then she went to AFI and I went to USC, but we were friends. More than friends, a family, because we don't have our families here. And we were always collaborating, and all the projects I've done, she has shot. I can't even imagine working with somebody else. It just feels bizarre. And she was just like so talented, and her sensibility and passion, everybody who knew her had no doubt that she would get an Oscar one day. Like, she was just exceptional. And when I came to her with this story, I knew that she could take anything and turn it into a beautiful piece of art. Also, she wasn't just a regular director of photography. She knew how to write a screenplay. She gave us notes on the script. She helped us produce it and get the most incredible crew on board. And she also could point out the contrived performance. Like, she was a person of many talents. She could easily direct a movie one day too.
Mm-hmm. And let's talk, of course, about some of the honors, including the scholarship that was announced, I think by AAC, which has been posthumously bestowed in Hutchins' honor. So perhaps you could share some of what's been happening and how her memory has been honored.
So AFI did a great thing, amazing, establishing this scholarship for female cinematographers in Halyna Hutchins' name. We started gathering funds. There was a GoFundMe campaign and other donations from private agencies and like just people. And right now, I'm not sure exactly how much we've got. I think we've got probably like a few $100,000. And I know we need at least $1 million to make this happen on a regular basis. And that's what we're working towards right now.
Mm-hmm. So let's move on to the film itself, which I found quite fascinating. And we understand it's based on a real-life experiment from 1973 by a guy called Dr. Rosenhan, who is portrayed in the film by actor Sal Rumidek. I mean, what did you know about this experiment and how controversial was it at the time?
It was pretty controversial. Anya, who was a writer on the film, her father is a famous psychiatrist in Russia. So he came across the article in a newspaper about this experiment, and they started exploring it. And I was reading about the entire movement of the 70s, the deinstitutionalization movement, where lots of hospitals got shut down and people were let on streets, people with mental issues, just because they were all this experiment, and the Rosenhan was a part of it, was trying to improve the conditions in the hospitals and also change the diagnostic system, which they succeeded, but a lot of facilities just got shut down. And when I first came to the US, that was the first thing I saw, a lot of homeless people on streets that are in need of mental help.
Mm-hmm.
I've never seen anything like that before. So that's like attracted me personally to the story. And it's a short film. We can't really explore the entire story behind it, but we are hoping to turn it into a feature film.
Mm-hmm.
Where we can explore more of that time era and what exactly happened, because we still see the consequences of it now.
Yeah. And we talk. I mean, Sal Rubinek is one of the cast members. So let's talk about the rest of the cast, because it's all a very great ensemble. I mean, I was very uncomfortable watching what was happening to this woman who had to pose as somebody in there. And tell us about them, and how did you find them? I mean, were they previous collaborators?
So again, thanks to Halyna, she brought the lead. She knew her from the feature film that she shot earlier that year. Nora Jane Noon. It was Halyna's connection, because we were desperate to find somebody, and we interviewed lots of people, and we just didn't click. It just didn't fit. And we had like, the shooting days were coming close, and we were really anxious, and Halyna like pulled her strings and got us a meeting with Nora. And Nora's brother, Nora went through something like this with her brother, similar. And so she connected to the story, and she was on board. I mean, she was available, and we were so happy. I mean, this was like the first piece of the puzzle. And then we had this amazing casting director, Cara Sullivan, that brought us Saul Rubinek. And Saul read the script, and he was like, wow, this is great. I want to be a part of it. Then the girl in the orange coat, it's actually Anya, our producer and a writer. So that was easy. She wasn't born right away. We were just, I don't know, lucky and very grateful to people who helped us.
Mm-hmm. So let's talk a bit about your production team and some of the people who contributed to making this incredible short, which again, when people see it, I think they'll see an amazing collaborative effort. I mean, it's so involving and atmospheric. So tell us more about your production team.
We have the most talented, dedicated production designer. Her name is Yana Veselova. I promise you, it's not all Russians on the team. Just a few. She is like very persistent and stubborn in her vision as well. Like, she knows exactly what she wants to get, and she guides me through, like, she knows all the time years, and she guided me through what we want to achieve in terms of the story. Another really great person is Jimmy God. He is an editor on Marvel. He did Wanda's Vision, and what else did he do? Like, he's done like big stuff, and he was our post-production supervisor, producer, and also an editor on the film.
Mm-hmm.
And he brought his friends, like Shaylee Brooks, did the color. He also worked on big movies, and like, as a favor, did the small short film for us. And then Brian Carr, who's an amazing composer and who's done the music for all of my films. And he just knows. I don't even have to tell him much. He just knows. I don't know. This is like a special connection that we have, and he just gets it. And I think music really elevated this piece. Mm-hmm. It just like is telling a story behind the story, at the same time not overpowering it.
Mm-hmm. Well, I have to say, I have to agree with you, because this film looks like a real big budget blockbuster film. I mean, obviously you can tell the quality and the images and stuff and how it works, the images, the angles that we used. So where did you shoot them, for how long?
We shot at Cal Poly Pomona. I don't know if you're aware, it's like a 40-minute drive south, and it's an abandoned hospital town. So there are like 8 hospitals in there, apartment buildings, a school, a gym, like bus stops. It's like a legit town, and but it was abandoned. So there was this real psychiatric ward from that time era, I think it was 60s, that still had some of the equipment there, eerie hallways, these tiled bathrooms. And in the patients' rooms, we saw wallpaper. Like patients decorated their rooms with wallpaper, writings, drawings on the wall, because they were making it their home for many, many years. Mm-hmm. And this whole atmosphere, I think, added to the story as well, because just walking those hallways was very unsettling.
Yeah, I mean, it's stuff like that. I mean, the discomfort that we watch with Kiera going into the hospital and what happens and the connection she makes and what she's doing, very unsettling. So for me, the film is reminiscent of Samuel Fuller's Shock Corridor, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, and Changeling, the Clint Eastwood film with Angelina Jolie, because it deals with perception and manipulation of mental illness and psychology. So when the script was being written, I mean, what were the challenges and how did it differ from the original draft that was completed before? And did you make any changes during shooting?
We actually did. And it helped that Anya was on set. She was the writer, and she was also a producer and an actress. And some of the dialogue just didn't work, and we changed it right there. And we tried out some lines and did some improv, something that felt like more genuine and sincere, organic. But what we changed, really, she would know more. Mm-hmm. She wrote it and rewrote it. I forgot. I guess our main challenge was not to make this piece feel advantageous of the mental illness. And I guess another challenge was like not to portray the hospital as this like terrible bad guy and enemy, because the experiment was controversial. Patients went in there pretending that they had mental illness, and that's how doctors perceived them, right? Mm-hmm. Are they wrong? That's the information they got. Mm-hmm. So I guess in the feature film, it will be more obvious that we are playing with this. Mm-hmm. Also, Anya read this book about Rosenhan called The Great Pretender, which is, again, like he positions himself to be this altruistic guy who wants to make a change. And at the same time, he was very manipulative. Mm-hmm. And was looking out for himself, basically.
Okay. So my next question is, are there plans to show this to psychologists and mental facilities as a point of reference? Because I think it's a very important move, because it's historic. It sort of challenges the key issues we've had over the last 2 years with mental health across the world because of what we've had to cope with. I mean, what are your immediate plans for screening this film?
We want to put it on some platforms. We are not sure where yet, but somewhere where a lot of people can see it, so we can grow our fan base, and that way our credibility. We really want to turn it into a feature film. We feel like we owe it to Halyna to finish this project, because that was why she came on board. We shot it as a proof of concept for a bigger project.
Okay. And what has been the reaction on the festival circuit to the film?
Oh, it was great. We had an amazing festival run. I think we were in like 25 festivals or so. Some of the Oscar qualifying fests received a few awards for like best director, best cinematographer, acting, some awards for the actors. We have like 20,000 views for the trailer. We have people constantly reaching out to us. And, I think it was pretty successful. Like, we are ready to put it out in the world for everyone to see it.
Okay. Now, following on from what you told us about Halyna earlier, I mean, obviously with this wonderful scholarship in her honor, I mean, a question that I often ask people like yourself is about diversity and gender being big issues in the moment in the media. I mean, what progress do you feel has been made? And where do you feel work needs to be done to support filmmakers like yourself and also honor the memory of Halyna?
Well, programs like this scholarship and labs and workshops, these are great, but also I think there should be more shadowing programs for these women to be able to see how it's really done on a studio level. It's very hard to break into the studio level. It's one thing to do like independent films your entire life, but it's very hard to break into this system. And one good thing would be those studios actually stepping up and doing shadowing programs for cinematographers, writers, directors, anybody, like other crew members, and just learning from inside, I think is very important. Mm-hmm. And giving an opportunity too, like directing an episode, because there are a few programs out there, but they are for someone who has already directed an episode or who is like a member of a union, and it becomes a catch-22.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so who would you say, who and what are your key cinematic influences? I mean, what did you look to as a cinematic influence for this short?
So I go for the more like general movies that you would know, like you said, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, Shutter Island, Girls Interrupted. These were my references. Also like a few others, I can't remember them right now. And that's what I came to Halyna with. And Halyna was like, hold on. She never went for your like famous Hollywood movies. She would always dig deeper, and her inspiration were European and Asian films, also abstract art and surrealism. Mm-hmm. So she would like come up with some photos, like the framing, very symbolic, like the shots and the framing that will be meaning something, symbolic and unbalanced, and yeah.
Okay. And what issues and themes, we know that you want to make the I Am Normal into a feature, but what other issues and themes are you keen to explore in your future work?
I would love to explore mythology and ethnic stories of all different minority groups that we don't really know much about. Starting with Slavic fairy tales, maybe just because it's my background and I know them really well. Mm-hmm. And my grandma was a psychic in this small Siberian village, so she told me lots of like dark stories and fairy tales. And I guess that's a dream to make mm-hmm. it in a movie or a series one day.
Mm-hmm. And wrapping up, my final question. I mean, I get a sense you've already answered this, but what are you most proud of about this short?
I'm always proud about my team. I just think I got together the most talented and dedicated and passionate people. I am proud that it's very subtle and sensible, that it doesn't go over the board or like trying, I don't know how to say it. It's where you have to be very, it's not easy to make a piece like this. Mm-hmm. You could easily offend someone, and that was not our intent. Like, this is what we were trying not to do. Mm-hmm. And working with actors, I mean, great actors, Saul Rubinek and Nora Jane Noon, actors of that talent, of that caliber, they were very helpful, so involved in the story. Also shooting a period piece for the first time, and shooting on film for the first time. Mm-hmm. Like, there were lots of highlights about this project for me.
Well, listen, Olia, I want to thank you so much for your time and insight today, particularly on sharing your memories and of Halyna Hutchins, who I think this is going to be a really, as I say, I think it's going to be a really great tribute to her work. I hope that it does get showcased as an AAC example to short filmmakers across the world. So wrapping up, I Am Normal is one of several amazing short films playing as part of the online Paris International Film Festival, which is running until the 20th of February 2022. If you still want to hang out on the online festival, you can go to www.parisintlfest.com. Short films are most important. They are not as important as features, independent work, and their independent voices. Olia has as I say, has shared some really interesting stories. Support the cinemas as they continue to reopen. And remember that a film is not just for a festival, but forever. Now, of course, this particular interview will be uploaded onto my official YouTube channel, John Higgins Film Review. And if you want to see more of my articles, interviews, and reviews like this, you can actually read some of the coverage from the Paris International Film Festival at www.filmandtvnow.com. So once again, Olia, thank you so much. And I wish you well with the film, and please pass on my good wishes to your team and everybody. And I wish you well with the feature project. And thank you for being with us.
Thank you, John.